guys, so today's topic is consciousness. We're going to be talking about what consciousness is and what it means to us.
That's right. So to begin that topic, we're going to talk about what the word science means. So the definition of science, according to the National Academy of Sports Medicine, is a method of attempting to arrive at objective truths. So we're going to dissect that a little bit.
Okay.
So the word method means a form of procedure, a technique, orderliness of thought or behavior. And then objective means a person or their judgment not influenced by personal feeling or opinion, the representation of facts.
Right, exactly. So you're saying that the structure of science itself is based on methods and a certain way of doing things.
And thinking,
Okay.
a certain way of thinking.
And what does that have to do with consciousness?
So we find out what consciousness is through science, or at least that's the only way humans can prove that consciousness exists is through science. So through methods, procedures, experiments, and of course data.
That's one way.
Right.
One way that is, widely known.
Exactly. That's the way for society as a whole to be able to be like, oh, okay, this is like a real thing because we've been able to track it.
Right, but then the problem with science is that it always requires some kind of proof, and not everything can be measured or recorded because not everything can be seen or heard. What I mean by that is that there's certain specters of light that we can't see, yet they're there. And yeah, we have found it with science, but what about other things that science can't prove or detect? Just because science can't see it, hear it, or measure it doesn't mean it's not there. Consciousness is one of those things. Consciousness is not something you can touch, smell, hear, or really measure. So that's why it's harder for it to be proven.
Right.
But we know it's real because we are conscious, we are aware, right?
So to me, consciousness is obviously a mentality or a state of being.
Okay.
So that connects to philosophy, because the definition of philosophy is a study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence.
Right, so to have an understanding or be a student of or study of science and nature and the fabric of reality,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, like why are we here? What is this?
Right. So you're saying being conscious links to philosophy because by being conscious, we start to question who we are, what we are,
right,
where we are.
Exactly.
Okay. So consciousness, like you mentioned, was a state of mind, right?
Right.
A state of being. Now, how do we separate consciousness from how we experience it versus other beings, like for example a dog? Because some people think, okay, maybe humans are more quote unquote conscious than a dog or a cat or whatever,
Right.
What determines what consciousness even is?
I mean, awareness, wouldn't that be what consciousness is?
I think it goes deeper than that. I think if you're able to experience emotion, some kind of emotion, I think that's what a great indicator of what consciousness is. It's feeling.
Feeling. Okay. So, a plant is conscious.
Yeah, funny enough you said that. There's actually a study on plants. We'll link it down below on the name of the study where this scientist, he got these light detector machines linked up to some plants. It was specifically made for plants, and whenever he would think of something like lighting a plant on fire, right when he was thinking it, the plant began to experience what's considered fear for plants, because the light detector went up, it started reacting. So it's like the plant knew what we were going to do to it before we even did it.
So it was able to capture our thought.
How is that possible? And this is all recorded. This is a legitimate study, and you can look into it when I put the link down below. But it's crazy because it tells you that we're all linked in a way. Because how does the plant know what we're thinking? Right?
Exactly. So the idea that plants or animals aren't aware or conscious is false. Just because they can't speak like we can doesn't change the fact that they are aware, just in a different way.
Right, because like the general term for consciousness, or at least what I was brought up to believe growing up, was that, oh, if you're conscious, you're self-aware. That you're aware of who you are, what your name is, and that's what dictates that you're conscious, right?
But it's not.
Exactly, but it's deeper than that. It's not just that. That's just a very surface level way of looking at it, a very human way to look at it.
I wouldn't even say human. I would say a very mainly left brain of looking at it.
I mean, I say human.
Logical.
I say human because it's expressed through the view of a human. Like, oh, we say we're conscious because we know who we are, quote unquote, we know who we are, right? We know our names, we know our standing in life, we're self-aware. That's what consciousness is, and we're the ones dictating this. But we haven't asked an animal. Yeah, sure, animals can't, quote unquote, talk back to us, but how can a plant know what the hell we're thinking? There's got to be a way to communicate with these beings.
I mean, animals know when we're feeling sad, when we're in distress.
Oh, what did you say? Feeling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it all goes back to that.
So it's not that the plant can necessarily, or the animal can necessarily read your mind. It's they sense your emotion, right? And they're more self-aware in the sense of energies and emotions, and they sense that. And from sensing that, they know your intentions. That's mind reading. That's what real telepathy really is, honestly.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So consciousness is such a broad topic, and there's so many things you can talk about when it comes to consciousness. But we want to focus on mainly like what consciousness really means.
The objective truth of consciousness.
Right. Again, this is through our experiences. We don't claim to know everything. Right. This is just through experiences that we've had together. From things that we've done, people we've met, meditations we've done that have shown us things that we're like, whoa, this is crazy.
It's not crazy, but our ego, I guess, or like we have a programming to think or feel that it's crazy to feel.
But it's crazy because it's abnormal, out of the ordinary. Anything new and out of the ordinary is gonna seem like whoa, scary, crazy.
Yeah.
But really, it's not abnormal. It is the normal.
We're abnormal.
Yeah, we're abnormal for thinking that we're the only ones that are conscious.
Right.
Not everybody thinks that way, but I feel like that's like the majority feel that way.
I mean, also, I think from talking to different people, getting to know different people, because when you talk to different people and you get to know the way others think and their perspectives, everybody mainly trusts only what science deems to be fact or true. And to me, that's a really big issue. Because if you only believe in what we consider fact, everything else, you're ruling everything else. As if there's so much, as if black and white was the only thing and there's no gray area. And consciousness has a lot of gray area.
And that's the problem, because now you're entrusting men in white lab coats that you don't know to tell you the truth about things because they claim to have some advanced knowledge that you don't have. Well, that's sounding a lot like religion. Back in the day before science, people trusted the Pope. People trusted the priest to tell you the truths about the world and what God did or didn't do or who is God and all this and why this is this way. Things haven't really changed. In that aspect, it's still control. It's a way to stop independent thinking and push you further away from realizing your true potential, from realizing what consciousness really is. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
So essentially what you're saying is that science is stopping society from actually critically thinking about things.
Yeah, because people then start to rely on everything science tells them, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but there's a pretty large population that just believes anything science says.
I mean, let's not even say a large population. From everybody we've spoken to, like we talked to a lot of people ever since we've been together. Our life's been meeting a bunch of different people, and there's a reason for that, right? The universe does what it does for a reason. So everybody we've encountered in our life so far has this hardcore, blind trust and belief in whatever mainstream science says, when science has already shown us through different experiments that atoms are aware.
Double slit experiment. I'm also going to put that down below.
So if atoms are aware, dude, there's a lot of things we don't know. So you can't only rely on whatever science tells you, because they themselves don't know. They're trying to figure it out, just like everybody else is trying to figure it out.
Yeah, the double slit experiment definitely revolutionized that theory of atoms are aware. Just to briefly mention it, they basically did an experiment where they began to pretty much record atoms and record where they were going by measuring the energy. And when they would look away, it would create a different pattern, right? And when they looked at it, when a person consciously looked at the pattern would be different. So they look at the pattern, it's, let's say, 3 lines. They look away, it becomes 5 lines. As if the atoms knew the moment that the person stared at them, they would change. They were like hiding in a sense, which is crazy. So I'm going to definitely link that down below so you guys can look into it. It's very, very interesting. I feel like education is like a huge player in molding the minds of the youth about just reality in general. Because I used to be that way. I used to think science was the answer. I used to think if you don't believe in science, you're stupid. Like you're a Neanderthal, and science knows everything because science has the answers. We record everything. There's proof, quote unquote facts.
Science is
I was there, and I could say it's a religion. Basically, it's basically a religion because you believe in everything they tell you. But thanks to the journey that I've been through in my life by myself and then with her, my awareness began to expand. And I began to question certain things, certain teachings that were brought up to me in school that I believed wholeheartedly. And that kind of brainwashing really changes your perspective on life, and it closes it. It's like you're just looking forward and you're not looking to your sides. It's like a horse with blinds.
Exactly. That's what I feel like it is to a lot of people, because when we talk to people and we bring up, things like this, like when we bring up philosophy, when we bring up metaphysics, metaphysics is literally spirituality. That's what it is. But nobody knows about that. They call it pseudoscience. Just like astrology and astrology is pseudoscience. Astronomy is like, what is that? Whatever. People don't really trust it, because science, mainstream science, not science in general, because there are independent researchers that thanks to them we've been able to find out other stuff that actually is important for consciousness. But mainstream science is the one that's pushing this narrow-minded agenda.
Right. And I want to get into the right brain and the left brain because it ties into that.
Yes, it does.
The right brain is basically like your creative side, the side of you that is in touch with your emotions, right. The expansive side, the one that sees everything and tries to understand and connect with your environment, right? And then your left brain is your analytical, mathematical,
logical.
I won't say a little bit robotic, but that mindset, right? Which is what I feel science has mainly become, right? So they're more like a left brain kind of quote unquote religion, right? And there's nothing wrong with science in a sense, except for the fact that it's missing a part. We're operating on a system or a software that only has half its part, which is the right brain, spirituality, emotions. So science right now is mainly left brain. Everything is analytical, robotical, and it makes our vision very rigid and very limited. But now when you apply the right side, I feel like the right side is understanding.
Comprehension.
Science is observing. Left brain is observing, right brain is understanding. Which is different. If you just observe, you're never truly gonna ever understand.
Right. Like a left brain person is all about taking notes, taking data for a long period of time. Look at all this, look at all the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And you're right, the numbers don't lie, but the numbers are not everything. They're not everything.
Exactly.
It's part of it, but it's not everything.
To put it into context, you can read a book about martial arts and how to be a kung fu master. And it's the best, most detailed book ever. But if you don't practice how to be a kung fu master, you're never gonna be good. You're gonna be mediocre because you're just reading it. You're not experiencing it firsthand. And that's where that comes in. That's the difference.
Damn, that was a really good example. Because when you mainly a left brain thinker is all about the knowledge, the information, the data, taking in the notes, right? Because it's all about knowing how much information can we know, versus right is more about feeling and acting. Because when you're emotional, you react, right? When you're logical, you think it through. We're kind of going off topic here a little bit, but women tend to be more right brain simply because we allow, subconsciously or maybe consciously, we don't know. Some of us do, some of us don't. We allow our emotions to get to us. So we use our emotions to react, versus men don't. Men are more rational because they know their emotions are there, but they think about it first.
Right, but that doesn't mean that either sex doesn't have access to either side. Women are only just right brain, and men aren't only just left brain. The reason I feel that men tend to lean more to the left and women more to the right is because we're supposed to show each other. We're supposed to teach each other how to connect with opposite sides.
Because they both exist, like yin and yang.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because we exist to learn from each other and learn from our experiences and become better.
So science right now is not absolute, and it's not objective truth, because it only has one side of the coin, and it's missing the other side. And you don't need to be a scientist, you don't need to have a master's or a PhD, you don't need to go to any type of university to come up with these conclusions. You just need to be an independent thinker, have critical thinking, and realize that science right now needs the right brain as much as the left brain. And the right brain is spirituality.
Exactly.
So, to us, spirituality and science need to, they need to collab with each other.
And here's the thing, when we say spirituality, we don't mean like in a religious context per se. To us, what spirituality, or at least the spirituality we're talking about, is awareness or understanding of things that can be proven, seen, touched, smelled, like consciousness or quote unquote God, that kind of
spirits.
Yeah. The soul, things like that, things that you can't easily prove in the 3D reality, which is what we're at right now.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because in the book Reality Unveiled, which is a book that we're going to recommend you guys to
really
read,
good book, guys.
What the experiments he talks about are in the book.
Yeah.
So in the book, there is a story of, is he a neurosurgeon, or what was he?
Oh,
scientist?
Yeah, the neurosurgeon who was very empirical in his mindset, very scientific. Didn't believe in consciousness. He believed that when you die, that's it's over, you're done. There's nothing else after that. It's all dark.
So he went through a coma, a super rare coma.
Yeah, funny enough, that guy actually, he got a brain virus, a very rare brain virus. Coincidentally, right? Because he said when the brain shuts off, and you die, that's it, it's game over. Well, this virus specifically targets the brain and shuts it off. So he was in a coma with his brain shut off, right? Everybody thought, he was done for. He wasn't coming back. And after a while, he did come back, and with a story.
Of all the things he saw. So it makes you think, okay, so this is somebody who's a scientist who believed, again, science is a religion, believed a certain way about the brain, and how he made it seem like the brain was it, when it's not, it's actually the heart, but whatever, we're going to get to that. And then he was proven otherwise.
By himself. By himself, because when he came back, he told stories of these crazy adventures that he had, where he went to these different worlds, he met different kind of beings, and he had a whole other life in this other world. And he remembered, which comes to show you that consciousness is vast. There's no limit to what consciousness is. It's not dead and gone when you pass. And that's what it is. Death is not the end, it's a transition. You're passing on to something else, you're moving on to something else. Death is not the end.
I mean, science does say there's one thing science has rights, is that energy cannot be destroyed. It can
Created or destroyed.
Exactly, it can only be transferred.
Yep, exactly.
Consciousness is energy.
Exactly.
I mean, we are energy.
These are just meat suits that we're inhabiting and we're having this experience as a human.
It's the machine.
It is a biological machine, yeah.
That's
a
why,
really good one.
Yes, that's why, like, if you think about it, there's so many systems in this machine that we have. We have the immune system, we have the lymphatic system, we have the neurological system. We have a bunch of systems.
A machine needs programs.
The cardiovascular system.
All programs. Why do you think they run in the background and you don't think about them? Because they're programmed to run, just like a machine.
But we do have to think about them. That's why.
I mean, you can't make your heart beat.
No, of course. But I'm saying, like, we need to take care of the heart. We need to be aware that the heart needs to stay healthy.
Just like how you have to take care of a computer and clean it up every now and then. It's the same deal.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is that things like the blood running through your veins, your heart pumping, things like that, that's all automatic.
Yeah.
But your brain is processing these things. It is a processor.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a wonderful machine. And something made it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just come out of thin air.
So I'm glad we're going to get to a lot of people who believe in science are atheists. Think about that. A lot of people I've met before Laz and with Laz who believe in science, and science is the absolute truth, don't believe in a God.
I used to be one of those people.
So that makes me think that science is a religion, science is the God who is somehow indoctrinating people to not believe that there is something grander than us. We're not like the center of the universe. No, we're not that important, you know what I'm saying? So it makes me think, wow, so there is some type of agenda, because if science has already proven with experiments that there is something, there, like atoms are conscious, like there's things that we can't, like it's already proven that we can't see all the spectrums of colors. We can only see specific.
Like 2%.
So it's like, it's already proven to us that there is something that we just can't see, but we know it's there.
A lot of things.
Like radiation, we can't see that shit, but we know it exists.
Only because we can measure it. And that's one of the few things that we can
And that's
measure.
one of the few things, but we can't see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's not real.
Exactly.
Because you can feel something you can't see. And that's why feelings are more important. Intuition, that's a feeling that science is never going to be able to comprehend what intuition is. Mm-hmm. And it's not, and that's the whole point. You're not supposed to comprehend.
Intuition is connection.
Like, it's just knowing. Yeah. And not knowing how you know, you just do.
It's connection. It's connection to everything. We're all connected. Like I said earlier, plants, animals, humans, water, things that you don't think are alive. Atoms.
So, can we say that spirituality is consciously knowing that something did make us? Something did make everything?
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can definitely get behind that. I feel that spirituality is, like I was saying earlier, the understanding that there's something more than what meets the eye.
Yeah. And it's insane because I brought up the heart because the heart is the most important organ in our body. It's not the mind, well, the brain. It's the heart. And the brain and the mind are not the same thing, by the way. So the heart, when people say, when you hear, oh, listen to your heart, that's a real thing. Like, that's not like just like a cheesy pickup line that, that people made up and they put in a bunch of movies. Like, that's a real thing. Listening to your heart is listening to your soul, your spirit, like letting whatever it is, whatever we are, guide you.
If you want to be technical, we actually have three brains. We have the processor, the emotional brain, and then we have the instincts, which is the gut feeling.
The gut feeling, right.
Three brains that you should listen to. So.
That's.
Yeah. Well, actually, the brain, the processor, is just a processor. It holds information, it processes information, and it processes what you see in front of you. But the mind, like she was saying earlier, is not the same as the brain. The brain is the processor, the mind is consciousness. What makes you you? That little voice inside your head, it's coming from somewhere.
Right.
It ain't coming from your brain.
Right. Let's go back to spirituality and consciousness. So how can we link these two up?
That's a good question. Well, first you have to learn to identify your left and your right. Become conscious that you have two sides of yourself that process thoughts and emotions in different ways. And one good way to do that is to meditate. Meditating is the best way to get to know yourself on a deeper, more intimate level. And it's a way for you to connect with those versions of yourself to help you understand them. Because it isn't as simple as saying, okay, I know I have a left brain and a right brain. I have one of them is, by the way, feminine and masculine, like she was mentioning, right? Right brain will be more of a feminine energy, and left brain will be more of a masculine energy, which, by the way, masculine and feminine aren't the same as woman and man. It's not about gender, it's energy. So if you want to find out more about feminine and masculine energies, we actually made a video on it here on YouTube, and we'll put the link down below.
That's right. So I definitely agree with you that we have to be more aware of our left and right brain. We need to know what they are, how to use them, that they should both be used simultaneously, not one over the other, simultaneously use them.
How would that look like?
Okay, so for example, working out is a science because I can monitor myself, jot down my measurements, and over time, as I work out, I can see the progress. That's left brain because I'm actively taking in data and I'm experimenting on myself with my workout routines and my dieting. The right brain is all mental. It's the willpower, the confidence, the motivation, you wanting to inspire others to work out too, because you're seeing your own progress, you're seeing your data improve, so you want others, so you're expressing this, you're becoming more, what's the word, creative when it comes to your own experiments on yourself. So you want others to experience the same thing. So that's why I'm saying you need to use both, because as a trainer, obviously I know that as the left brain, you have to have data, you need to have progress, you need to take in measurements, but you also need to add the right brain. You need to like psych yourself up, like I got this, I'm amazing, I'm the best, I'm my own competition. That's right brain stuff.
Yeah.
You being able to just motivate yourself. That's all right brain.
So you're seeing the power of using both together. See, that was a great example right there. If you have the data, which is the quote-unquote proof, and then you have the emotion to back it up, right?
Exactly.
So the data pumps you up, and then the emotion gives you confidence.
Exactly. In fact, now that you use emotion, you can add in your emotions into your workouts. Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so tired from work. I don't want to work out. No, dude. Use your right brain. I am so stressed out from work. I'm going to use that stress and I'm going to work out. That's right brain. You're using your stress and you're manifesting it in a positive way.
Right.
You're channeling that in a positive way. Instead of just allowing your stress to consume you and you don't work out and then you feel like crap because you didn't work out and you know you should have. Instead, you're like, you know what? Because I'm stressed out, because I've had a long day, I need to work out.
That is definitely something that a lot of people should be aware about, right? People should know that mixing these two things together gives you such powerful results because it would take you to the next level of whatever it is you're doing. If you apply that in anything, using your left and your right, now you're using 100%. You're not only on 50% anymore.
Exactly. You're on 100%.
You're on 100%.
You're using your fullest potential. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the analogy of it too, because humans, a part of us need a self-assurance, because we can't just go off based off emotion all the time. We need to see the facts, the data, to give us that purpose to keep going or to try to understand something better. That's why science is also important. I don't want to, talk smack about science. Science is great, but it's not just about science alone, and that's the problem. That's a problem because it moves us further away from the truth that there's two sides to the coin, not just one.
Right.
The consciousness is vast, and you can't try to understand consciousness with half your brain.
So if you're interested in becoming more conscious, more self-aware, more self-motivated, check out our Patreon page, where we're going to be putting exclusive videos on working out, meditation, yoga, and all types of wellness and spiritual routines.
Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.